The following presentation has been brought to you by HSF Productions.
The Impromptu Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Jeff and David.
Hey guys, welcome back to IWP, the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Tyler006. Over to my left, as always, is my brother Damien. How's it going this week?
This week was a really good week and a really good Dynamite. I can't wait to talk about this one.
It was a good Dynamite, and some of the tweets that I referred to how many people were tweeting about Full Gear being the greatest pay-per-view of all time, and that's kind of what they say is like, how can each pay-per-view be the best ever? And I just laugh and say, well, it can't, and it wasn't. But honestly, how can a Dynamite be better than a pay-per-view? But we'll get into it a little bit later on. We have a huge show. We got, Dynamite, as we mentioned, AEW Dark, this week's Power Rankings, BTE, and a couple news items to get into. So why don't you say we get right into it with some breaking game? Okay, so we had a huge announcement Tuesday on YouTube. Brand new AEW Games channel. They did a really good job with this reveal. I thoroughly enjoyed it. They kind of guised it as an Apple Steve Jobs reveal, which I thought was kind of clever and funny. Did you happen to catch this broadcast that AEW Games put out for us?
I did see it, and I also agree with what you said there, that it was a very neat way to do it. It was very BTE-ish, if you know what I mean by that. The way it was kind of filmed and the satire with it, and Kenny being over the top acting and all of that, and it was a great way to talk about some exciting stuff. I can't wait for this to come to fruition, and we can actually play the console game. The other ones,
yeah,
I'm not too interested in, but that console game I am.
Yeah, for sure. So
what did you think about it?
I loved it. I thought it was super funny. I like when everybody starts coming out and interrupting Kenny and stealing his gimmick, basically. I enjoyed that. Aubrey coming out, Britt coming out, and eventually Cody coming out. I thought it was all really thought out and well done. But yeah, let's talk about this. The big announcement, the reason for this whole thing is that AEW Games, which I'm assuming is like another division of a completely separate division of the AEW umbrella, announced officially that the console game is in the works. Things are moving along fairly well. I assume they're expecting it to come out probably mid to late 2021. I can't remember if Kenny actually says, a date that they're shooting for or anything. But they do have some footage already. They have some characters made. We got to see a little trailer with Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho in the ring. They both looked really good. We also got to see Sheeta fully textured and enhanced.
That was Sheeta? Is that why this production slowing down is they're not quite getting the proportions of the characters quite right?
There might be some tweaking involved in some of the character models yet, but it looks really good. Obviously the arena didn't look spectacular, so there is still a lot of work to be done. We even got to see just some rough, just like I don't even know what you call them, like polygons. Like they were just blue, green, and red. They hadn't even put in textures yet, but they were doing the Meltzer driver. I'm assuming they were supposed to be the Young Bucks in some capacity. So it's really exciting to see and I'm glad that they gave us this, you know, this little teaser, because it's starting to get me really excited about it.
Hmm. I have two big pieces of news about this.
Okay.
It's fake news, but
Oh.
so title for the game is No Mercy 2, and all of the body captures, motion capture is all done by Damien Sandow.
That's
I'm just
good
kidding,
shit.
of course, but wouldn't
good
that be
shit.
good if
Oh, it would totally
somebody
be good
hired Damien?
because Damien Sandow used to do all the body captures for the WWE games stuff. So I like that you thought
Right.
of that. That's awesome. But
But they did mention No Mercy, right?
well, yeah, that was the big thing, is that we wanted, like, I'm paraphrasing for Kenny Omega here, is that we wanted a No Mercy style wrestling game. And for any of our viewers that are maybe too young to remember, you know, the four best wrestling games of all time, they were all made by THQ. You know, it was WCW versus NWO. It was WCW versus NWO World Tour, or Revenge was the second one. Yeah, WWE 2000, WrestleMania 2000, and then WWE No Mercy. And No Mercy probably out of the four. I mean, it's Revenge is a close second for me, but No Mercy probably being the best. They really explored the mechanics of a wrestling game. You know, we got the ladders and stuff like that. It was a really big improvement over the previous three games. So I'm excited to see that. I hope it's not too nostalgic where you lose, you know, like, is this a game that we should be playing on N64, not next gen consoles? You know what I mean? Like, you got to really bring the inspiration into the future kind of thing. So I'll be interested to see how they take care of that. But
Just from the little thing that we saw there, it looks like the graphic style is what they're really taking from those games.
yeah, like, everybody's larger than life. You know, everybody was jacked. Sheeta was just as tall as Kenny Omega. You know what I mean? Like, like I said, there could be lots of tweaks going yet. They could have just thrown a Sheeta texture on, you know, whoever. You know, it could have been on Jericho, since those are some of the models they have. I'm not a video game developer. I don't know how it works. But, you know, would I be upset if all the women's wrestlers were just as big as the men's wrestlers? No, just as long as the game's fun and, you know, they have their movesets. That's
Marco Stunt has to be smaller though.
well, you would think. But, like, honestly, if you look back, No Mercy was the first game to have proportionate wrestlers. Like, Rey Mysterio was considerably smaller than the Big Show, and he could not body slam him. Like, that was a mechanic in the game. Is that essential to make a good wrestling game? No, but it's cool to see.
They have to keep the run-ins.
Yes.
The animation for the run-ins. They have to keep that.
No one saw what I just did, but if you know, you know. Play a Royal Rumble in WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy, and you'll know what we're talking about. It's epic.
It's all arm swings. Yeah.
Yeah. The other big
very cool stuff.
Yeah, the other big news coming out of this is that Ukes, game developers, they're working on the game. They were formerly known for doing the WWE 2K games, which in the last 2 years since Ukes has been gone have been really shitty games. So it's good to see that Ukes is still in the wrestling game business. And then we also have the director of No Mercy back in the day. He's working with AEW Games to make sure that everything is, you know, going according to plan and whatnot. So that's really cool to see as well. So yeah, it's exciting stuff coming from AEW Games. There was also the announcement that there is going to be a Elite GM mobile game. which is very much, one of those freemium style wrestling games where you kind of unlock player cards, and then you're allowed to use them and book them, and you can book your shows and you can run your shows, and they give you statistical outputs about how many people showed up, how much money you made, and it's a franchise mode, GM mode within the wrestling spectrum, so that's pretty cool. I maybe will try that out depending on how much it is, just because of how well I do booking AEW themselves. You know what I mean? So
Right.
maybe I'll give it a try to see if I'm as good as I think I am. And then the other news was a Double or Nothing casino style mobile game as well. That one's going to be coming out very soon. I think they were shooting for December. It looks like it's already like made and done. So I mean, if gambling, fake or real money is your thing, this might be your game. And everything's just kind of designed around AEW and Double or Nothing. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I imagine they bought a product or using a company that they're just skinning something that's already existing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I know, really exciting. It sounds like it's going to be for the new gen consoles, but also for current consoles. So if you're a PS4 or that other console system, then you're good.
No, we don't talk about the other console system on this podcast. PS for life. So yeah, there's good stuff coming out of there. There is some interesting news that you actually just brought to light to me literally 45 minutes ago, just before we started recording. Why don't you tell us what happened?
TK, and for those of you that don't know who TK is, Tony Khan, posted a tweet early Wednesday, Wednesday morning-ish, kind of hyping up the show for later that night. He also mentioned that they are going to continue to bring fantastic shows throughout 2020, and that we should expect to see some massive surprises from AEW going forward. And I put this on the plan because I was wondering if maybe we could have a little discussion on what we think these massive surprises are. So you take it. You're the booker. If you were going to come out and say, hey, we got some massive stuff going on, what would you consider to be massive?
I mean, I have no idea. The only thing it can be is new wrestlers coming in. Like, what else do you surprise your audience with? You know what I mean? So, maybe we'll get Sting at some point. It still seems to be the top of the rumor mill right now. I mean,
do you think that Brock Lesnar's still a chance? I haven't heard if he's signed with WWE.
He's
I know
not.
they were in kind of negotiation.
He's not signed as of this moment. His merch has also been taken off the store, last I heard. So I don't think he's planning to come back anytime soon. I think I read somewhere that he's training MMA again, that he might be looking to do another fight in UFC. But I mean, anything's possible in the wrestling business for sure.
Do you think that he could have meant like really going forward with these partnerships with, NWA? We now have seen last weekend ties with Impact Wrestling. We are expecting there to be a New Japan Pro Wrestling. We haven't really seen too much of that, but do you think that maybe, whether it's a belt that is shared among each one of the companies or something like that, or we actually get to see, the stars of those companies ending up on AEW from time to time? There's one thought I had. Do you think that that's realistic?
I don't know how realistic that would be. I think it's cool. I think it's awesome that AEW is working with NWA right now. There seems to be some sort of working relationship with Impact, as we saw Don Callis being a part of the show a couple times in the last few weeks. Um, there's there's really not enough time in in the television world of wrestling for stars of one show to be coming over with stars to work with stars of another show on a regular basis. I think what would really work good is that if these 3 or 4 companies were to work together and put on one massive show sometime during the year, similar to a Survivor Series type idea, that the build up to that month, you could start seeing some crossover. We would see some matches, and then when it came down to the pay-per-view, we would have kind of champion versus champion, you know, team versus team, like whatever. You could book it any way you want. I think that would be cool. But to start doing this on a, on a regular basis, much how the NWA worked back in the 80s and stuff like that, where there was wrestlers from all these different territories, and then their TV time was on NWA, whatever night of the week it was on for the 2 hours. I just think there's too much talent, not enough time out there to really make that work realistically, but that would be a
Yeah,
huge
that
surprise.
logically makes sense. But man, what you're describing makes me think of like a Woodstock of wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. I
That's cool.
I could watch wrestling for 7 hours on a night if it was involving multiple companies, multiple superstars, in multiple different matches, not just the same 30 guys and girls that we see every day on TV working for 7 hours. Hashtag WrestleMania sucks. Do you know what I mean
Yeah.
though? Like that kind of
I totally know
event,
what you mean.
that kind of event. I mean, you would have to do it over 2 days. It would be much like a Wrestle Kingdom, where Wrestle Kingdom's moving to a 2-day event now, and WrestleMania was a 2-day event. Have 2 4-hour shows instead of one 8-hour show. You know, I think it could
Right.
work. I think it could work. I'd buy it.
Yeah, that's very cool. Whatever it is TK has planned for AEW, I'm expecting it to be awesome, and looking forward to the future of the company.
For sure. All right, let's move right into one piece of news coming from the Vanilla brand. So again, this was another piece of news that you brought to light to me just a little while ago. What did we have coming out of the Vanilla brand this week?
Yeah, I just earlier tonight I saw a notification on my phone that said Zelina Vega has been released from WWE, and it sounded like this was very out of nowhere. I have not been keeping my eye too much on WWE, but when news like this comes about, then I that really piques my interest. I really liked Zelina Vega. I thought her role and how she played it was really really good, and then they started actually using her in the ring, which was awesome. But when I did the little bit of research before the show, like there's virtually nothing out there right now. She just tweeted, thanks for the support, everyone, and WWE said they've come to terms. So, just wondering what your reaction is to the release of Vega and what you think about the whole thing.
Yeah, this caught me as a surprise because like I actually caught a little bit of Raw this week, and she was in a match. And when you kind of mentioned that she was released, it kind of, well, oh yeah, because then they didn't send her out on very good terms, because they had her in this triple threat match with Natalia, sorry, and Ruby Riot, and Natalia's got her in the sharpshooter, and then Ruby Riott comes in with the crossface. They had her twisted up and screaming. So I mean, if this was their plan all along, they kind of really buried her on the way out, which is a very vanilla thing to do. Um, but you know this, if I'm being honest, this makes me sick that vanilla just can toss away a talent like Zelina Vega. Zelina, in my opinion, really brought back the manager valet role. You know, like Heyman's always been that, but Heyman's only around when Brock Lesnar's around. Where like Zelina Vega has been a manager on WWE TV ever since NXT. You know what I mean? Like she's been doing this for a long time. And I think she was really good at it. And like I said, she kind of brought that position back into wrestling to where they made an impact and they had a purpose. You know, working with, I almost said Alberto Del Rio, Andrade, working with Andrade, Angel, Graza or whatever that guy's name is. You know, she was working really well with these guys and giving them a platform, you know, to make stars out of themselves. And I really think that without Zelina Vega, we wouldn't know who Andrade and or Graza were. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened behind the scenes or what, but this makes me sick and I want to know more.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just looking at Wrestle Inc. Their news post about this, and we don't have a reason why, but the article says that shortly before the announcement of the release of Vega, she had recently tweeted that she supported unionization, and she was very involved in online Twitch for sure, which I think she did with her husband, Alistair Black. She may have also been on Cameo or other platforms like that. So I'm thinking that she probably did not appreciate these new sanctions rules that WWE has. Do you think that this could have been part of the reason why she was released?
Uh, yeah, probably. I mean, definitely. Manage, you know, that's kind of the story arc that you see in movies that involve kind of unionization and stuff like that. That you know the management never wants, you know, unionization. So maybe I think it's a really good possibility. Um, but in that sense, why is Paige still under contract? Because she's been the forefront for that movement. So, which I
But
shouldn't.
Paige dropped her account. Is she still on Twitch?
She's still on Twitch.
Okay. Yeah, I guess right after this announcement, she posted on her Instagram, "See you on Twitch." So it almost seems like this was probably a big part of her letting go. She probably fought back as to, you know, taking this away. I just don't know where this is going to stop, right? Like, are they going to take away your personal Facebook accounts and everything? Like, you pretty much have to sell your soul to WWE. That's
Yep.
kind of what it's about.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is that perhaps Zelina was fighting back and refusing to cut in, where maybe Paige decided to play ball until she can get things rolling, because Paige isn't working. She's just under contract. You know what I mean? I think she comes in and does the pre-shows for the pay-per-views, but it's not like she's on TV anymore. It's not like she's general manager of SmackDown anymore. So really all she has to do in a day is do Twitch. So maybe she's playing ball right now and Zelina didn't want to. So that's possible.
Right.
But when we know more, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it more. But for now,
Yeah, for sure.
let's get right into being the elite. All right, this was episode 229, Full Gear Fallout. I really enjoyed this episode as a whole. It was a longer one. It was over 30 minutes, but it was laid out properly, and I really didn't feel like it was a chore to watch this one. Maybe watching the Gator Golf part got a little stagnant after a while, but overall this is a really good episode of Being the Elite.
Okay. Yeah. Here's a rare time that you and I don't agree. Not that it was a bad episode. It never caught my attention from the very beginning till really the end. There's one segment that I had a chuckle at, but I don't know, wasn't a winner for me.
Interesting. Well, what were the parts that you did enjoy? Let's talk about
it. This is probably going to be the one that you thought was the low point, but I like this Christopher Daniels Brandon Cutler, and Christopher Daniels is telling him he needs to get a picture of him with a belt, and he's looking at this table with all the championships on it, and he's just like, yeah, no, not that one, not that one. And then he offers him an actual belt because I guess his underwear was showing, and I don't know if that was from a match or something, but I just thought it was hilarious how Color just thinks he's going to take a picture with a championship belt, and it's like, slow down, buddy, you got 2 wins.
Yeah, exactly. No, I enjoyed this segment too. I think it was a reference to one of his matches where maybe the tights got pulled down a little bit, but no, it was funny. And then I like where it cuts to after, because everybody was doing their ID shots for the new opening that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And then he wasn't even in the area where all the lights are pointing at. He was kind of just outside, and they just like did this photo shoot, and he's like modeling this new studded belt. I thought that was great.
What would you like about it? Or it sounds like you enjoyed the show as a whole, but was there any segments that you thought were cool? Was it the Nakazawa Silver and Reynolds?
Well, I did like the Nakazawa Silver and Reynolds bit. I didn't care for the stinky asshole and the stinky ball sack. Like you guys are trying too hard at this point. But when they actually go over and interact with Nakazawa, like, that was all funny. They're all flexing and they're trying to gas up. They're trying to gas up Nakazawa, and he's taking the bait, but then he pulls out the thong, the stinky thong, and gives him the claw, and that was all really funny. I enjoyed it, but
it's almost like they didn't plan that one very well, because Nakazawa kept putting his hand up, and they weren't cutting to the end part yet.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Nakazawa was not too good in the improvisation yet. Since we've been covering it in the last few weeks, let's talk about the Gator Golf, the BTE Championship Tournament. It was Trent, it was Matt Jackson, and John Silver. And I like how when they're just standing around in a circle and they're talking about, who's going to win and who they think's going to win, they kind of relayed exactly what we kind of predicted. It was just like, if this is a shoot, it's probably going to be Matt Hardy. But I mean, if they really wanted to milk some story out of this, they'd give it to Silver. And they kind of talk about that. And they're like, for those of you out there, this is a shoot. Like, we're doing this for real. So, I mean, I'll probably win, Matt Jackson says. And then Silver's like, I want to win that. I think it would be funny. So I had to pop hard for that little bit. But for the golf itself, it was like we said, it was kind of the biggest course they had. They were going through 2 or 3 different hotel rooms. And, I thought it was good. They could have sped things up a little bit. But eventually Trent gets the win. He's got a minute to catch his shuttle to fly wherever he was going, if he was going back home or what. But he had to get to the airport. So he grabbed his belt and ran. Didn't want to win it. He was the only one that didn't want to win, and he ended up winning it. So I'm interested to see where they take this from here. If we're going to get more tournaments, or if this going to kind of revert to kind of a one-on-one thing where people will just challenge the champion at some kind of goofy game and it'll change hands from time to time. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah. I was actually quite surprised that they were playing the par 11 course, or par 11 hole, I should say. That was a massive, where they had to go from room to room or whatever. And I like how John Silver actually apologizes at one point. If anybody's cheering for me, I'm sorry.
Yeah. When he was stuck under the table really there, he almost caught up.
Yeah, for sure. And Matt really should have won this one, right? And I don't know. What do you think there? Do you think that was a giveaway?
I think it might
he was
been
a foot away and he hammered it.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll never know. I think he gave it away. He gave it away to Fuego, or tried to anyways.
Yeah. I mean, they just won some belts, and it's their show for one of them to win it on the first try. I think it's good that it went to somebody else. I just don't know if Trent is going to be a good champion here. He really did not seem interested.
Yeah, he might give it up. He might give one away whenever this next challenge happens. But
yeah, it's going to be like the 24/7 champion. It's or winning the briefcase. You don't want to carry it around for an entire year or whatever.
Exactly.
Especially when it means nothing.
Yeah, for sure. The only other talking point was kind of the whole end of the show here, where it's after Full Gear. We see the Young Bucks celebrating their big win of the AEW Tag Team Championships. They got the EVP room all draped in the plastic. They got the non-alcoholic champagne going. They put the goggles with no lenses on, and they're spraying each other. And then we kind of see Hangman gonna go congratulate them, but kind of sees that they're having fun, decides he's gonna let them be. Fast forward through the show, we see him going into the Dark Order hangout, right in the midst of them giving the classic "fuck Hangman" chant. Doesn't phase them at all. A few of them notice him right away. They stop. Alan Angels is still going to town because he's got his head to the ground. They had to hit him, dude, shut up. Hangman pours himself a drink and starts to chant back up again. I think this is an interesting character point, or a point in this character's life, if you will. I'm interested to see where Adam Page takes this Hangman character. And then we have Evil Uno saying, "You guys don't fuck this up. I'll be right back." He's going to go try to re-recruit Hangman for the mishap that happened last year around this time. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this Hangman stuff goes. It's probably these 2 segments, everything with Hangman, is why I enjoyed this whole episode. It was just, it kind of brought everything together for me, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Hangman.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like I didn't like the show. I don't know. Maybe it's just me today. I had to do a lot of marking today, which put me in a bad mood. Um,
Hey, that's the same thing that
yeah,
happened with
John.
Full Gear. So
Yeah, John Silver's getting a little bit too over the top. So I'm kind of losing interest in the Dark Order stuff. I'm interested in the Hangman. I mean, I said sort of half jokingly in the Full Gear review show that, hey, Hangman's gonna get his application back into Dark Order. If he does, I look like a genius. But I will admit I was kind of half joking with that one. I don't think that he will be part of Dark Order. I think Hangman needs to be alone. He needs to be his own thing, and he'll probably drop the drinking gimmick and all that. I'm thinking.
yeah, I think that's where
But
his
yeah,
character
interesting.
needs to go, where he kicks the bottle, and now then he's gonna go on a dirty run where he'll probably end up leading to perhaps a Kenny Hangman 2 match for the title. That's probably
Okay.
where they're going.
Wow, I already
we'll
know your
see.
pick for December.
Yeah.
Do you think it's still possible that Hangman could be in this 4 horseman deal with FTR?
Yeah, it's definitely still possible.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Because really, there's 2 spots, right? I mean, we're pretty sure Sean Spears is part of this, just with the, and him being involved with Tully. But I do still want to see that. Maybe it's
Yeah,
Tully. Maybe it's Tully that gets him off the booze, and this is what turns it
Right.
around. So we
right.
just gotta watch and see.
Yeah, because I felt like, he came out to help the Bucks, and then, he was probably going down the hall to, like you say, congratulate them. But then, the way they were all cheering, he's not really a part of that anymore. So yeah, maybe they do stick him with FTR. That would be a dirty group to be with. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think it would work. All right, let's move on to AEW Dark. All right, back to regularly scheduled AEW Darks. This is episode 61. A comparatively light episode of Dark, if you will. There was only 9, 10, 11 matches. So what did you think of this week's episode of Dark?
Yeah, 9 matches. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't have that anxiety like I needed to spend an entire afternoon watching the show. So yeah, I thought it was good. For me, the highlights were 2 tag teams that seem to be on the rise. The first one is the Acclaimed with newly All Elite Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. Really liking this group. I like their gimmick, the rapping when they come out, and I don't know, just kind of 2 cocky guys. I thought that's very cool. And then this Top Flight, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit later here, but yeah, they've been gassed up by some pretty big names in AEW, and I thought they delivered in this one. I thought they looked really good. Yeah, so nothing crazy I think happened. There was no Jurassic Express, throw into a Canadian Destroyer type spot here on Dark, but overall it was pretty good. Is there anything that you liked?
Well, I mean, let's talk about the Acclaimed here for a second, because they came out with this the one guy had the chain around his neck, and I literally said to myself as I'm watching, I was like, who's this guy think he is, John Cena? And then he started rapping. I'm like, oh, he does think he's John Cena. Not for me. It's a bad gimmick. If you like it, that's cool. But dude, it's been done, and it's been done badly. If he thinks he can do better, I mean, I'll give him a chance. But Jesus Christ. But no, I want to talk about the very first matchup of the night here. We had TNT debuting against Chaos Project. TNT being Terrence and Terrell Hughes. They are the real life sons of Devon Dudley. So I thought this was really cool. They were teasing the 3D as a finisher move. They didn't get to pull it off, but I think this is really cool. It's kind of that I think it's about time that we're getting another wave of second generation wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like, we had The Rock back in the Attitude Era, was like a third generation wrestler, Randy Orton, DiBiase, Cody Rhodes. And now we're getting another wave of our Attitude Era favorites. Children are getting to that 20 years of age where they're going to be starting to, we've seen Austin Gunn is doing an awesome job, and now we're seeing TNT. So I'm excited to see what these guys bring, and I hope they're just as good as their dad was, and adopted brother, uncle, being Bubba.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what TNT can do.
Yeah, I thought they looked really good, and I'm sure they're gonna do well. Like, I mean, when you grow up in the business and you're around like all of the greats, Taz actually put them over on comms by saying like he knew these guys as small children, and being around the business, I'm sure they're gonna do well. Yeah, and I mean, as far as I think it's Max Caster was the one who you were referring to with
I
the
have no
whole
idea.
John Cena bit. I mean, I think it would be hard. I think it would be hard to be a wrestler and find a unique gimmick. So I get what you mean that it was a copy. I kind of thought that myself, but where Cena was more of this kind of thug, this guy seems more Drake to me, like more high class, like not from the hood. So I just like the insults. I think that was really cool, and even the jobbers did a good job. Like, is he talking to us? Like, what's up with that kind of thing? So I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I'll give him a chance. All right, let's move the show right along. Let's get into this week's power rankings. These are the AEW power rankings for November 11th, 2020. What do we got?
We actually have some changes this week, so we'll go through the whole thing. In the men's division, Jon Moxley retains the title at Full Gear, but hashtag and new TNT champion Darby Allin. So Cody is knocked off the top of the block there. With Kenny's win over Hangman, he now becomes the number one contender. MJF stays at position 2. Cody drops down to position 3. Brian Cage, the biggest loser in all of this, dropping all the way down to 4. And this might be a typo, but Ricky Starks is number 5. No, maybe it's not a typo. Just really weird. So that takes Lance Archer, Brody Lee, and Sean Spears, the guy who's in and out, now out of the top 5. In the women's division, Hikaru Shida retains the title at Full Gear. A Big Swole, the biggest jump all the way up to the #1 contender. So we should expect that we'll see a Shida Swole match at some point in time. Nyla Rose drops one position to #2. Penelope Ford drops to #3. Serena Deeb now in the top 5 at #4, and Britt Baker remains at top 5. Abaddon is the one that comes out of the top 5 for logical reasons. In the tag team division, we have hashtag new tag team champions, the Young Bucks. FTR now the #1 contenders. That drops Best Friends down to #2. Natural Nightmares, Jurassic Express moving up to #4, and Butcher the Blade dropped to #5. So a ton of movement with all of the results coming from Full Gear.
Awesome stuff. All right, that leads us right into the meat and potatoes of the show. Let's get into Wednesday Night Dynamite. So, like I said before at the top of the show, this was an amazing episode of Dynamite. It kind of had me thinking, like, why am I enjoying Dynamite more than Full Gear? Everybody says Full Gear was so good, but I didn't kind of seem to watch the same pay-per-view as everybody, and I sat there and thought about it earlier this week, and I think it was because we had all those spectacular pay-per-view level episodes of Dynamite leading into Full Gear, that Full Gear just needed to be something extra special to compare. But really, it was just a 4-hour long episode of Dynamite. It was good. It was a good show, but I mean, it wasn't special in any way. But again, with that mindset, we come back to our regularly 2-hour scheduled programming here, and they're exceeding my expectations, and it's coming off like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I'm super excited to talk about this week's episode of Dynamite.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think of some of the matches that we've got on Dynamite this year. The biggest one being the parking lot match. Like, that outdoes anything that we saw at Full Gear on Saturday. And then we got another fairly epic match here on the following Dynamite. So yeah, I don't know, there just seems to be these matches lately, or a couple of string of matches in a Dynamite that just make it more exciting than what that pay-per-view was.
Right. Well, let's get right into the show. The kind of the biggest thing to talk about right off the top is that we got a new opening. We got new, I don't know what they call it, opening credits, opening theme, but everybody took the time and filmed some new spots, kind of getting away from just showing like in-ring highlights like we've been seeing before, and it's just kind of all the wrestlers in the face of the camera kind of doing their little spots. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I thought it's freshening things up, and it was good.
I have no comment. I didn't see it because when we got on the call together, it was already past that point. So,
That's right.
So I didn't see it. I'm gonna have to check it out.
You didn't go back and watch it? Oh, we'll catch it next week.
I didn't know, but I did see on social media that they have some new banners and stuff, I think, for their YouTube and whatnot, with Young Bucks and whatnot, and that all looks really, really cool. So it looks like kind of all around they're just kind of upgrading the graphics for everything. Even their I don't know what you call them, the match graphics. Even those are starting to change a little bit as well, the ones they post on Twitter. So yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Just freshening things up. I like it. The show started off with a promo by Taz, Team Taz, coming out, and this was really all about following up what was said before Full Gear and what happened at Full Gear. Ricky Starks isn't ranked, but he's got this awesome record. Brian Cage is the number one contender, but he's not in any of the championship matches. What's going on? Well, now they're both ranked. You know, what's the excuse now, Taz, kind of thing. And Taz just, he's just out there laying the work down on that. Team Taz is essentially coming after Darby Allin.
Yeah, and I'm guessing this is gonna be Starks, or do you think this would be Brian Cage?
They're still
It
teasing.
seems like they both want. Yeah, they're still teasing it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of not excited about Team Taz yet.
Neither am I.
So for them to start the show, I was just like, really?
Yeah, for sure. I was almost taken out of this like right off the bat, but I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. Brian Cage and Matt Sydal put on an amazing match here to kick off the show. I don't think that has anything to do with Team Taz. I think that just has everything to do with that Brian Cage is an amazing worker and Matt Sydal knows how to work with big guys. And I really enjoyed this match. It had, everybody kind of got their stuff in. Matt Sydal had was in control of this match quite a bit for being, 3/4 of the size of Brian Cage. Or a quarter of
Yeah,
the size,
he
I
had
should
me
say.
believing that he could pull this one off, and it actually didn't even make Cage look bad. It's just Sydal was that good.
Yeah.
We really hadn't seen Sydal yet, I feel, and we really got to see what he can do here. And he's quick and he's agile and he has some serious kicking ability. He is, yeah, he's just like a little Spitfire in there, just nonstop, very athletic. And Cage just throwing that body around. He had some, Brody Lee +4 on the lariats there, just spinning Sydal around. Yeah, this the promo, if it was already starting to get you to sleep, this match really set the tone for the entire show.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome way to start the show. Brian Cage, very spectacularly, I should mention. Sydal on the top ropes kind of catches him in a missile headbutt. I don't know what he was going for, but essentially Brian Cage catches Sydal right into a vertical suplex position and drills him into the canvas with the drill claw. Brian Cage gets the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it was an awesome way to start the show, and it just keeps going from here as Ricky Starks jumps in and cuts his own promo. I'm still not sold on Ricky Starks as a wrestler, but this kid on the mic is so good, and I don't think these two need Taz. I think if it was just Cage and Starks, it would be a lot better.
Well, you know what? If you remember when Starks cut this promo, you said to me, man, Starks would be a good manager.
Yes, yeah, I did say that.
And it's like, yeah, you're right. He has a good look to him, like manager type look. And yeah, he's really awesome on the mic. And yeah, he could be the manager for Cage. Although Cage can talk himself, I think he does fairly decent on the mic. But yeah, maybe Stark should consider being a manager instead of TNT champ.
He'd probably get more TV time as a manager than he would as trying to be a TNT champion. But as the show moves on, we get Cody coming out, full entrance, interlude, pyro, the whole 9 for Cody every time he comes out there. This was awkward. This was an awkward segment, but I was glued to the screen the whole time. And I don't know. I think it was an important segment, even though it was awkward. But I'm excited to what's to come. This being, before MJF before Cody can even, start talking about his future, because that's really why he was out there. He's talking about, we're not going to go after the rematch against Darby. There's a different loss on my record that I want expunged. And before he can even get MJF out of his mouth, he's interrupted by the woman who's been ringside for the past 2 months that's been driving me nuts. She hasn't appeared on Dark, but she's there every week. And every time we watch, I'm like, do you know who this girl is yet? She's damn near 6'6". Like, she's a giant Amazon of a woman. Silver hair. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... What's the reaction?
I don't know that you can say Amazon woman, but
what are you talking about? That's what Wonder Woman is. You're allowed to say Amazon. Fuck that.
All right.
But she comes in and she introduces herself, and I'm just happy it's finally happened. I know who this girl is now. I can sleep at night again.
You can, yeah, I bet. I mean, and she looks totally different. Like, you just kind of saw her in passing as the camera would pan or whatnot, and then you see this woman. She is like gorgeous and ripped. Like, she starts off this promo with saying she's the total package, and maybe let me pump the brakes a little bit here. Let's wait until to see if she can actually wrestle, but just her look, she does look like the total package.
Yeah, she's got guns on her. She flexed there. Scared me a little bit.
Yeah, and she says she's been ringside studying the competition, and comments about Cody naming himself the Giant Killer.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about this part?
Well, so as this is happening, and she mentions this, I'm like, okay, she's representing somebody. They're going to be bringing in a new star. It was kind of obvious the way she was talking. And then I start running through my head, like, who could this be? Who could this giant be? And, I was drawing blanks. Well, I'm like, there's no way they're bringing in Khali. There's no way they're bringing in Big Show. Who else is left? It's going to be somebody new that I've never heard of, is what I'm thinking at this point. And then this is where it kind of gets awkward, because it starts getting dragged out. The segment starts getting dragged out. She just randomly leaves the ring all of a sudden, like she was done, but then she turned around and started talking again. And then, she drops the bombshell on us that the giant she's referring to is none other than Shaq. And
Shaquille O'Neal.
The basketball player. Big Diesel. I don't know, he's got a bunch of nicknames he likes to refer to himself as. But and then it all makes sense. I was like, oh yeah, Shaq's wrestled before. He wrestled Big Show at WrestleMania. He was backstage, as we saw on Being the Elite. He works for TNT. It's all coming together. And
right. And he's a huge wrestling fan.
Like I said, he's done it before. So, if this is what's happening, if he's going to work with Cody, we'll see how it goes. But then before we can even comprehend what we just heard, out comes Streets Brandy, we'll say. And
you can't say that.
I can't say that? Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Out came...
Don't call her Amazonian. Street Brandy's good.
I don't understand why you can't say Amazon. It's
I don't know. I was just kidding.
But anyways, Brandy comes out and she's got, some things to say to Jade Cargill. What'd you think of Brandy coming out here and laying the law down, protecting her man?
I mean, I thought that Brandy was gonna come out, but I did not expect the tongue lashing that she gave Miss Cargill here. I think she called her bitch like 3 maybe 4 times. Yeah, she starts off with like, who the hell told you this was open night mic, bitch? Um, Told her to get her ass out of here, and if she ever talks to Cody like that again, then she's gonna take her out. So yeah, Brandy kind of does her thing, tears a strip out of her, goes to walk away, and then Jade pats her on the ass. Tell me what your reaction was to this one. He's like, this segment, and this segment has been like 8 minutes at this point.
Yeah, it was a long segment, and I mean, I popped hard for it, not just because it's a little bit of a girl on girl action going on here, but I just think it's cool that Jade's showing that Brandy doesn't scare her, and why would Brandy scare her? She's half the size of Jade. So I liked it. I thought it was just good game, good play out there. We'll see what happens, and I can't wait to see Jade versus. I mean, we're probably gonna get Jade versus Red Velvet first, but this eventual Jade versus Brandy, which I think it'll go down. Maybe we'll even get a mixed tag match in the future. As Shaq's kind of introduced into the show. Jade and Shaq versus Brandy and Cody might be something that would work. So
yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
I'm excited about it. Like I said, it was a long, awkward segment, but everything that came out of it was really good, and I'm really hyped about everything.
Oh yeah, I know. This was one of the most enjoyable parts of Dynamite. We get this great match, and then we come right into this, get to find out who this woman is, and then we hear about Shaq, and then we finally see something like really awesome from Brandy, and then it's not even over yet. Cody gets attacked while he's watching his woman slay this other chick on the mic, and it's Brian Cage and Ricky Starks attacking Cody, and Darby comes out, and what did you think about the end of this segment?
At first glance, I was confused that it was, why is Cage and Starks coming back out? But when things kind of all went down, it started to make more sense. This brings in Darby. Eventually, Will Hobbs comes out. And now I just feel bad for Moxley, because this was Moxley's match. This was Moxley's idea to have Darby and Will Hobbs going up against Archer and Team Taz. This is Moxley's spot, but it's starting to look like maybe Cody's going to take that spot away from Moxley, as Moxley has other things to worry about here coming into this matchup against Kenny Omega. So, I mean, it's an unfortunate circumstance. I'm sure they ran it by Moxley, since maybe his issues with Lance Archer are done at this point. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, when Darby and Will Hobbs came out, it all kind of made sense to me, so I enjoyed it.
What'd you think of the thumbtack jacket?
I think it's a cool idea, and man, when he did that, I don't know what you would call it, just the running reverse splash into Cage, like that had to have hurt. And Cage was even checking if he had tacks in his chest, because he came flying in. He did not hold back.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Man, I feel like I need to try this whole tack thing. I want to see if it's like really gives them that shock value. Just tape 9 tacks to the floor and then jump on it.
I think you gotta have more. I think you gotta have
more than that. Oh,
you gotta get the whole bag.
You're giving me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. Anyways, this leads us into a backstage interview with Alex Marvez and John Moxley, and John is being asked about Kenny Omega being the new #1 contender after beating the Hangman Page in the tournament there. What did you think about what Moxley had to say about Omega?
I mean, it's exactly what he needed to say. It was performed to perfection, if you will. He totally puts Kenny over. Um, you know, makes reference to their match before. Um, acknowledges that it's not going to be the same thing because that was, an unsanctioned hardcore match. This is going to be a wrestling match. Moxley always does a good job in not coming off overconfident. He always has his doubts coming into these matches. I think it makes him more likable, more, humanized in a way, that he's not one of those guys that just comes out and, I'm going to kill everybody because I'm the bigger, badder man. No offense to Lance Archer because that's his thing. But, I really enjoy everything Moxley said out of this. And it gets reverberated when we finally get an interview with Kenny, because Kenny just says all the same points, but to his perspective. And now Kenny's coming off as the overconfident, heel in a way. So yeah, I'm liking everything that's coming up.
Mm-hmm. And then we find out that on December 2nd, AEW Dynamite, we are going to see John Moxley versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. What did you think about the announcement that this was going to go down on Dynamite this year?
I thought this was interesting. I really thought they would try to push this out until Revolution, but then again, that's 4 months away. That's kind of a long time to to build this to not have any title defenses really. So I don't know. I like it. It's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from now, so we do have some time to build it. December 2nd might end up being one of these special dynamites that Tony Khan keeps talking about that he's got planned, a beach break or something like this. Maybe this is one of the big surprises. I think it would be huge for the title to change hands on a TV Dynamite. It's something that, besides the Women's Championship, the one time, hasn't really happened yet in AEW, and for maybe this being Kenny Omega's moment in the spotlight, I think would be huge. I think it'd bring in a lot of ratings. So, no, I like the move to have it a little bit earlier on Dynamite, and hopefully we get like a 30-minute match and it's epic.
Yeah, I was thinking that if they make this some sort of special Dynamite, that maybe we get a 3-hour Dynamite.
Yeah.
This one time or every now and then. And yeah, you're right. If we can get a 45-minute match, that'd be very, very cool.
It definitely has the potential to be a contender for, match of the year. It'll be up there with Revolution,
Silver and
Cassidy, parking lot match, and if we're being completely honest, this next matchup that we're going to talk about, the bunkhouse match, the Natural Nightmares versus Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny. And my question going into this is like, what the frick is a bunkhouse match? And, commentary's just talking like we should know what this is. Hasn't been a bunkhouse match since like 1974. But thanks for explaining it. But really, it's just, I don't know. It could have been called a barnyard match. There was like horse stable. I don't know what they call that, where you tie your horse up and there's hay bales everywhere. And I don't know. It was just a hardcore match. Just call
Dustin
it a hardcore.
had on cowboy boots.
Yeah, Dustin had cowboy boots on. So I don't know. Going into it, I was just a little confused, but just call it a hardcore match, whatever. But let's talk about this
Yeah,
matchup.
I guess they run out of names for the matches, and they want to make them unique. Yeah, this match had just everything. It had the story, the psychology of QT and the bunny, and then this hardcore match. We had people showing color. We had a jump off a 12-foot ladder.
Had that
A
stage
really
spot,
good finish.
the stage spot.
Yeah, this was just a very awesome match with some very awesome wrestlers. And I don't know, I'm thinking this was match of the night. Let me just take a look here.
Definitely.
Yeah, this was definitely match of the night. I mean, that the main event's pretty good, but yeah, no, I really like this one. Highlights for you here?
Everything. This whole match was a highlight. This match is what FTR versus Young Bucks should have been. Just in how it made me feel. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoyed every single second of this match. One of the big highlights was that guitar spot. Ever since Jeff Jarrett back in the day, I've hated guitar spots. Being a guitar player, I just hate seeing a fine piece of instrumentary being destroyed like that. But the sound, the sound they make, the way they explode and powder, these gimmick guitars that they use, just it sends shivers down my spine, and it's happening again just thinking about it. But Blade absolutely pelts QT with that guitar. And I mean, this is the spot that leads to QT showing color. This is something that I've never seen out of QT. I don't know what he's done before AEW, but he hasn't done it on the AEW yet. And he juiced good. We'll say, like, the red was coming down. And again, I was begging JR to say it. He never says it when I want him to say it, but I wanted a crimson mask coming out of JR, but never got it. And then a little bit later we get blading, which I thought was ironic. So
yeah, the irony of that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, QT was probably the guy of the match for me, and probably because I wouldn't have expected this out of him. But yeah, he was really good in this one. Did you rewatch this match?
No, not yet.
Okay, because I'm still baffled as to how Dustin got out of those handcuffs.
Yes. I forgot about that.
The bunny handcuffs Dustin to the turnbuckle, and he must have been there for a good, 5 to 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden he's back in the match, and it's like, wait a minute, how did he get out of that? I'm gonna have to rewatch that one.
I think I saw Turner over there, but yeah, I meant to rewatch it to see and kind of concentrate on that corner to see what actually happened. But I think Turner just unlocks him, which I don't know. You can argue is kind of a dumb way to do it. Usually somebody comes out with like bolt cutters or something. Like there's a spot showing how they get out. Maybe Dustin's a magician,
Right.
and he just did the move and got out of them. I don't know. But yeah, overall,
Cowboy and a magician.
yeah, overall, this was an amazing match. QT gets the winner. He pulls the diamond cutter onto the blade, which I think is awesome that it was on the blade. It was kind of the symbolism we wanted. The I don't know what the resolution we needed. That Blade took back his actual wife away from her fake boyfriend in QT. So yeah, I mean, Natural Nightmares continuing their winning ways. They're one of the top tag teams in the company right now, and can't wait to see where they go from here.
Yeah, give these guys a shot. I could see Young Bucks, Natural Nightmares. I don't think Nightmares would win, but I think that would be a really good match.
Awesome. So let's keep the show rolling. We got a video package kind of showing the highlights from the Elite Deletion match. We had Matt Hardy kind of narrating over top of it. I mean, this is fine. I think I didn't really pay attention, to be honest, to this segment, but I think, you know, being the kind of the fallout show from the pay-per-view, you got to kind of rally off everything. So I understand that it's necessary to be in here, but honestly, I didn't pay attention to it.
I mean, it wasn't very long to begin with, and when Matt says that he gains a lot of respect for Sammy through kind of all the stuff that they've been to, I hear your voice in the back of my head in the prediction show where you said that, you know, he's going to recruit Sammy. And now I'm just like really hoping that this is where they take this with the whole, you know, MJF possibly being in the inner circle now since he won the match in Full Gear. We kind of haven't seen what's going to happen there yet, but you know, that's what I was thinking about in the back of my mind was let's get Jeff's prediction to go forward here.
And I don't think it's an accident in any way that this Matt Hardy segment immediately precedes MJF's induction into the inner circle. I don't think that's an accident. I think that's a thought out, you know, it was placed there for a reason.
Right.
So that when the turn does happen, you know, that's the spot. They told us what was happening. They do it in movies all the time. They tell you how the ending's going to end, but you don't know it until you rewatch it the second time, right? So, yeah, I don't think that's an accident. But let's talk about this induction. It was at this moment that the weather issues that were happening in Jacksonville were kind of apparent. Cody kind of mentioned it in his little promo. I was on Twitter. There was some people in the crowd kind of showing the outside of the arena because it is an open roof arena or whatever. And like Jacksonville was in the middle of a tropical storm, being, you know, a small hurricane, if you will, like not quite developed yet, but it's windy as hell and it's raining. And then they do this balloon gimmick with confetti and the wind just sucked those balloons. And I like how everybody was on board. It's like they knew something bad was going to happen, but they're going to go with the spot anyways. And JR is like, those balloons are downtown Jacksonville by now. And it had only been like 5 seconds. I thought it was hilarious. Some people were really attacking MJF on Twitter about what happened, and MJF did a really good job coming back at them. You know, you marks don't know anything. That was how it was supposed to go down because I want to spread the word of CJ and that the whole world, especially you dirtbags in Jacksonville or something like that. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but that, you know, they know how great Chris Jericho is. And I thought he protected himself really well there. Protected the spot really.
Yeah. Good save on that one.
But overall the segment was kind of awkward.
Yeah. And do you think it was the speech by MJF?
Yeah.
You know, talking about how, you know, his dad gave him, you know, only $1 million to be able to pursue his dreams. You know, he came from nothing essentially, and, you know, all that. And then he's going to read this poem to Santana Ortiz. So, you know, this is going to be like, you know, something racist or something. And then, yeah. And what did you think about this poem? It seemed like when we were watching it, you knew something was up while he was reciting this poem.
Yeah, I recognized it. I recognized the words. I had heard these words before. I thought it was I mean, I knew it was a rap song just because of the content. he was talking about all his material possessions and whatnot. I forgot that it was a Drake song, and thanks to Ortiz for calling MJF out and letting us all know that that was a Drake song. I thought it was like 2 Chains or something like that. All that music sounds alike to me.
There wasn't enough bitches in the words for it to be 2 Chains.
right. So,
but MJF says that they weren't really here for the induction. They were more here for Jericho's 50th birthday.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know about until I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's when we get the balloon spot. I don't even remember everybody singing happy birthday. Do you?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. And then MJF has a surprise for Inner Circle. Tell us about the surprise.
So MJF is really putting forward this, I'm a good guy. I'm on your team now. I want you guys to be on board with everything. So essentially MJF is using his own money and sending everybody to Vegas. And he's going to treat them to a good time in Vegas. They pull out all the plane tickets. We totally forgot to mention that Sammy's nowhere to be found at this point. And Jericho,
oh, right, yeah.
Jericho comments on it before he brings out MJF and Wardlow. Where the hell's Sammy? He knows we're doing this now and stuff like that. And they're like, we have no idea where he is. So at that point, I'm thinking in my head, oh yeah, he's still lost in Hardy's Woods in North Carolina somewhere. That, prediction was coming true. We'll see later in the show. Actually, we could probably just condense these 2 parts together and not talk about it later. But we get an interview backstage with the newly formed Inner Circle. They're all celebrating their tickets to Vegas. They can't wait to go. In comes Sammy. And he's basically claiming that MJF told him to go somewhere else. And MJF is like, no, dude, I sent you a second email. And I like how everybody else, like even Santana was just like, yeah, I got 2 emails. And just throws Sammy under the bus, really. So, yeah, it's got me thinking. I think Sammy's going to get fed up to a point where, he's going to turn face on Inner Circle and perhaps leave. But it's looking that way.
Yeah, and is it one of those things where they want us to believe this is where it's gonna go, and then it's not? But yeah, I really hope your prediction comes true. We'll add another bonus point to your your final standings for Full Gear.
Does it count when it happens 3 months later?
I think it does. I think you deserve it. I wouldn't have saw it. And I mean, we could look at the dirt sheets. No one else has figured it out.
Right. So yeah, it was good stuff coming from the Inner Circle. A little awkward and drawn out with MJF's, poem and stuff like that. But, as you tied everything together with the segment that happens later in the show, I think it all works out. And yeah, I've said this a couple times already tonight, but I'm excited to see where this goes from here. Can't wait. From here we get the highlight recap of the Young Bucks versus FTR match, and I gotta admit that watching these highlights, this little segment, this little video package, was more exciting than watching the actual match itself. They really did a good job of editing it to make it seem like, yeah, maybe it is a match of the year competitor, match of the year worthy, if you will. They really made it look good. But, you know how I feel, so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't think about it in this package, but it was when they were doing the highlights on BTE.
Yeah.
I was like, and I think even on BTE, they showed some different angles as well.
Well, it was cut,
and I'm like,
right?
Yeah, I thought, wow, like, yeah, maybe this was a good match. maybe we need to ask for the edited version of it, where it's, Not all the holding the ankle and getting yourself taped up by the trainer on the outside and all that crap.
And Matt Jackson just coming into the ring unopposed by Rick Knox, and Rick Knox
Right.
confused of who he's supposed to be holding back at this moment. You know, if you cut out all that, yeah, it was probably a really good match. But
Yeah.
this leads to a backstage interview with Marvez and the Young Bucks. Marvez visibly worried about knocking on the Young Bucks door. I like that little bit of a callback. He even says like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this again." But the Young Bucks are cool. They got what they wanted. They're the tag team champs now. And basically what this segment is for is just a vehicle to introduce Top Flight into the AEW fold. Matt, Nick, they talk about how when they were young upstart tag team, they had a title shot against some veteran tag team champions that were giving them a shot, and they pulled off this upset. I can't for the life of me put a finger on who that veteran tag team would be. It seemed like they didn't want to say the names. I feel like I thought it was the Hardys at one point. But they've said the Hardys on AEW before, so to me that kind of ruled it out. So I don't know if it's a current tag team that's in WWE or what, but if you guys know, jump on Anchor and leave us a voice message. I'd love to know who this tag team that really put over the Young Bucks was for I believe it was the ROH tag team titles. So that'd be interesting to know. But essentially, we're getting next week on Dynamite the newly crowned AEW tag team champions going up against the up and coming tag team Top Flight. What do you think of this matchup coming up next week? You watched the Top Flight match on Dark. I didn't, so you know more than I do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a match with going to be a lot of spots. Top Flight, very similar style of tag team, quick spots, high flyers, that kind of thing. It'll be interesting to see how Matt is going to be, considering that they were actually supposed to have the match on this Dynamite, but he wasn't cleared for it. So how much he's going to be, healed by, the next Dynamite, we'll see. But, yeah, I'm sure Top Flight is going to really bring it, considering this is kind of their big chance, right? So I think it's going to be a good one.
I like that Matt teases that, he talks about how they upset the tag team champions in their debut. Will it happen this week? No, it won't. I like that he just kind of puts that information out there, because then it makes it worth watching that, there is a chance that Top Flight might pull this off. At least it puts it in your minds, and now you got to watch it, because otherwise, a tag team that's only had 2 matches on Dark coming up to Dynamite, to face the tag team champions. Like, I'm taking the Young Bucks all day, especially as their first title defense. I'm still taking the Young Bucks all day, but at least it's worth watching now. There is something there.
Right.
This leads into another matchup. We have the match that we were supposed to see before Full Gear: Shawn Spears versus Scorpio Sky. This was, a blow off to a feud that's been, about a month and a half in the making. It's been tough building this feud because it has been on Dark. People have had to have time off. We didn't see it every week. It was almost one of those feuds that you forgot about was actually happening at times until they kind of reintroduced it again and again. So I was excited to finally see this match, and it didn't disappoint. Like, these are 2 very capable veteran wrestlers here, and showing what a wrestling match can and should be. I can't talk about this one enough either. Like, this was a 4-star match for me. 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, there was no big spots in it or anything like that. Just really good technical wrestling, arm drags and, all of the just fundamental wrestling stuff. And then the psychology in it as well, where, is Spears going to have to cheat to get this one by Scorpio, or is even going to get a chance to do that? Is Scorpio going to take him out? So, I mean, every week we talk about Sean Spears. He's either not in the show, and why isn't he in the show? And, or he's in the show, but then he's off the show because that match has been replaced with something else.
Yeah.
Or he's in the show and he just, has a really, really good match.
Yeah. So, I mean, this match, we'll talk about the finish here. Tully, giving Spears the slug, distracting the ref with a pouch in the corner, throwing a second slug at Scorpio Sky to kind of distract him. It was an innovative way to get to the dirty finish. It's something that you really haven't seen in a really long time. We talk about Flair's girls in the side of the ring, pulling the brass knucks out of their dress or something like that and slipping it. You don't really see a lot of that. I gotta feel like this is all Tully. This is kind of coming from the old school ways of doing things. I love seeing it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that he threw the slug to Scorpio. It was confusing to me. I didn't even know if that's kind of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think even Scorpio did a good job of going like what is this thing? And then he looks at it, but it really, all it turns out to be is a distraction. Scorpio throws the slug into the crowd and then turns around and gets laid out
Absolutely
by Sean
clobbered.
Spears. Yeah. It went immediately into the pin and the match was over.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. So I like this finish. I like that it was a dirty finish. It gives us options to continue this feud. This all comes back to me wanting Spears with FTR, but another discussion for another time. Moving from here, we had it was interesting how they did this. They send it off to Dasha backstage, supposed to be having an interview with Kenny Omega. Kenny's not there. We come back to commentary and then almost immediately throw it to Alex Marvez, who is actually chasing Kenny down in the parking lot. And then we get the interview. I mentioned it earlier in the show during the Mox interview segment. Kenny really talking about a lot of the same things just from his perspective and his confidence in himself being the big belt machine, bringing the cleaner back, wrestling Mox again in the confines of a wrestling match. I thought this worked really well. I think these two segments by themselves aren't spectacular anyway, but when you kind of put them together and have them spaced out and have that recall back, I think it really works. And enjoyed the interview with Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I really liked how Kenny kind of highlights that, yeah, you may have won that match, but it wasn't a pure wrestling match. So really, we should consider this that we are 0-0. We're going into our very first match against each other, and he's very confident that he's going to come away the champ. So December 2nd cannot get here fast enough.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm excited to see what they do to build this. Because the build for the unsanctioned match last year was incredible too. If you remember that glass coffee table DDT out in the arena, that was amazing. Yeah.
I do remember that, yeah.
These two are going to have an epic match. I can't wait. This leads into...
Do you think that we need to have a heel? Do we need to have a heel in this match? Because they're both kind of face, right?
Well, Kenny's still transitioning. But I think
Do you
Kenny,
think he could make the transition?
yeah, I think he is the heel. Kenny is the
Okay.
heel going into this, just by his tone in that interview and the way his words were saying. You know what I mean? So yeah, Kenny's definitely the heel here. It's not full heel, but you know, he's still transitioning.
Right.
This segment led into another matchup, Tay Conte versus Red Velvet. I can't help but feel like we saw this match on Dark before, but we're getting it here again on Dynamite. Tay Conte's got Anna Jay with her, Red Velvet with Brandy, of course. And I got to put it over. This was a good match.
I would agree with that. Yeah, like the girls did a really good job putting this match together, executed everything pretty well. I can't remember that there being any botches. We have Anna Jay involved as she is, escorted Tay Conte out to the ring here and is I get this sort of it's like a Star Wars feel here, like trying to bring her over to the dark side, but
Right.
then she has to make this choice. I thought that was a really good part, and she doesn't choose the dark side quite yet, but ends up pulling the match off.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned you don't remember any botchy spots, but I remember one really botchy spot that was confusing. A little bit of a miscommunication. Red Velvet comes off the ropes and to a kneeling Tay Conte was gonna give her the big boot to the head. You hear the leg slap, you see the foot connect with the head, but there was a no sell. Tay Conte goes right into the finish of the match. I think there was kind of a miscommunication there on how that spot was supposed to go. But besides the small blemish there, this was a very clean match. I love Anna Jay throwing the chair in and urging Tay to use it. Tay doing a good job with her facial expressions, you know, thinking about it, ultimately deciding not to use it. It kind of backfires on her for a little while. Velvet gets kind of the upper hand, but Tay turns it around, pulls off the win, gets the submission tap out, and then after the match, Anna Jay doing a good job, looking very upset that Tay didn't use the chair, but ultimately still happy that her friend won the match. This even leads into a segment later in the show where they're kind of walking out of the arena and they kind of have their moment and hug it out afterwards. But yeah, it's an interesting arc that's happening here between Anna Jay and Tay Conte. I don't see Conte actually joining the Dark Order here, and I think it's going to lead to a feud with Anna Jay eventually.
I could see that happening. Yeah.
Okay, this led into the interview with Inner Circle that we talked about a little earlier. Sammy comes in and says he never got the email, and there's a big thing. Jericho kind of diffuses the moment. Don't worry about it. Let's go have fun in Vegas, and they head off. There's a moment with Best Friends and Orange Cassidy talking to Kip and Miro. Kip, kind of apologizing to the Best Friends, but then slaps Orange in the face. It was a quick little heel turn there. Yeah, what do you think about this kind of feud that's been brewing? Ever since just before Full Gear here.
Yeah, this segment seemed like it was just a reminder that there is still something going on between these folks and that we should expect to see some sort of match either between Kip and Orange or Best Friends Miro at some point. I guess we had Trent and Miro, so maybe Chucky, but we're thinking that it's Kip and Orange.
I
and
think
then
that's where
we
they're
find out
going,
and then we find out in the announcements right after this segment that next week Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian. So it's kind of
Right.
just that precursor to that.
Yeah, for sure. Next week's show turning out to be another stacked card, probably still going to be better than Full Gear. I wonder how long I'm going to say that. Probably until Full Gear has a good pay-per-view. It was good. I don't know why I keep ragging on it, but I wanted it to be better. Anyways, we are going to get Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian. We're going to see Inner Circle enjoying their time in Las Vegas. We're going to have the Young Bucks versus Top Flight. We're also getting Cody and Darby Allin versus Team Taz, Cage, and Starks. I think there was another match announced earlier in the night too, but I could be wrong.
No, I think it's actually at the very end of the show we find out another match.
Oh, okay. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. This leads into an in-ring promo with Eddie Kingston coming out. He talks about Full Gear. This is another great promo segment by Kingston. Kind of a reality check for him in a way, but it doesn't seem to have this loss at Full Gear hasn't seemed to damper his drive to become world's champion, as he likes to say. Yeah, excited to see Kingston's future here.
Yeah, I like how he's taken that moment at the end of the match where Moxley kind of goes over to him and like kind of whispers something to him. We don't get to hear what he says, but on BTE makes a comment that Moxley said, it's over now.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses that to say it's not over. He's not going to stop going for that championship, and he will eventually become that. So yeah, another great little promo from Eddie Kingston.
All right, what's the date today? November 13th, 2020. Do you think Eddie Kingston will become world's champion?
No.
I think the same way.
Okay.
I think he'll be part of these feuds, and he'll be good at selling the tickets and making the matches hyped up and look good, but I don't see him having that belt. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah. I could see him being TNT champion,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but not the big belt.
Like who would he win it against?
I don't know. Maybe if Marco Stunt wins.
Oh my God, this is David
Then I think
Arquette
he has
all
a
over
chance.
again. All right,
I don't
know. This leads into the main event of the evening. We're getting Penta El Cerro Miedo versus his brother Ray Phoenix. This is the second match we've seen within a month with these two. First one was really good, wasn't spectacular. This one was spectacular. I think they really upped the ante on this one. They gave us a ton of psychology in this one, especially with the ripping of the masks and getting a glimpse of their faces and stuff like that. Commentary, really selling it to us that this is cause for disqualification in Mexico. And then you got Eddie Kingston on commentary as well saying, but we ain't in Mexico, we in Jacksonville, brother, and all this stuff. And just everything about this match, the match itself, commentary working with what's going on in the ring. I thought everybody did a really good job. And I mean, if it wasn't for the bunkhouse match, this is definitely match of the night, match of the month.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so not only do you have these two luchas that are, tearing at the mask, like these are brothers. And, like, why are these guys, like, these masks are sacred to the luchas, and yet they're doing this to their own familia.
Nice.
Did I say that well?
Yeah.
Familia.
You've watched your Fast and Furious.
And then, that's right. And then you have in the background, you have Tony Schiavone and Eddie Kingston, and Tony is just like, why are you causing these problems between these two brothers? Like, like nothing good is going to happen out of this. And Eddie just keeps, shutting him down. But in the end, Penta wins. It took 2 package pile drivers to take down Ray Phoenix, but wins the match. And then it's in this post-match part where we get kind of the reason why Eddie kind of put this match together. What'd you think about the end of this match?
Well, I'm not even sure I remember exactly what Eddie says, but I remember he's in the ring, he's congratulating Penta, and then you get a moment where he literally kicks Ray Phoenix out of the ring. Like he doesn't want to acknowledge that Phoenix is part of the family, essentially. And I mean, and that was portrayed over his commentary as well, how he seemed to really favor Penta over Phoenix. But I mean, as for if he literally said what his reasons were, I don't remember.
Well, I guess I took this as, since Eddie and the Lunch Brothers have kind of been, this faction, ever since it started, Eddie Kingston has said that Penta was his best friend.
Right.
So I felt like he did this almost to break them up. Like he knew his best friend was going to win. That's what he said. And this was going to break them up. And then, I don't know, maybe he gets his friend all to himself. But before we can even find out more, some music hits.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, whose music is this?
It's been a long time since we've heard it. It's
and the camera guy did a little bit of a bad job here because they were showing the screen.
Yeah.
I wish they wouldn't have played the video and just played their music because
Yeah.
I was confused.
Yeah. Yeah. The video kind of gave it away as you see the words "the bastard" come up. So yeah, definitely a little bit bad. I think the surprise would have worked better with just a black screen. Similar to when CM Punk came back after winning the WWE Championship in 2011. He introduces new music being called to personality. No one knows who it is. There's no Titantron. And then he kind of creeps out. And then when he makes his way onto the stage and the crowd pops, then that's when they put up all the graphics. I think that kind of reveal would have worked a lot better for Pac here. But Pac had a mission. He came out storming. He had a mic all ready to go. And this is where, I mean, I mentioned in the Go Home show of Dynamite how they did a good job in Pac's little segment not mentioning Death Triangle. Okay, maybe this is done. But then commentary goes and starts talking about Death Triangle again. So I can't help but feel like maybe this feud is leading to Pac maybe wanting to get his hombres back and maybe repair some of the damage that Eddie Kingston's done to Phoenix and Penta's kind of relationship. I think it bolds for a good story. Do I want to see Death Triangle back? No, but I think if you don't introduce Pac here, I still enjoy the story and where it's going, being that maybe Phoenix goes out on his own and maybe he goes after the TNT Championship and then we get a third match with Penta and really get a proper blow off and Phoenix has to win out of this rivalry, right? He's the younger brother. The younger brother always wins, right?
Yeah, I think Penta's gonna take it. I think they could do a few different things here. It could be where Penta needs to choose. Is he gonna stay with the Eddie Kingston's familia with the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny, or is he gonna go with his brother and Pac? Maybe they are like, hey, like you're either Death Triangle or you're not.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Did I?
but it's good to have Pac back.
Yeah. Oh, definitely good to have Pac back. When this all came down, did I not say as they were fading out to black that we're gonna see Pac and Phoenix versus Kingston and Penta tag team match?
You did, and then they announced the match for next week, and I was confused at first, but then I guess it makes sense because it's still the Blade. So yeah, Pac
Right.
goes after Eddie Kingston. All the refs come out. We had Rick Knox fall down about 14 times during the pull apart. And then the announcement comes out that it's going to be Pac versus the Blade next week on Dynamite. So yeah, Lunch Brothers, Eddie Kingston,
Well,
I'm sure are going to be involved in some way. But
and this still makes sense because this is Kingston protecting his best friend, right? Like
Right.
you might think that maybe Pac's coming after to get Penta and Phoenix back. I'm assuming that's where they're going, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, it makes sense that Kingston would put one of the Butcher and the Blade over to fight Pac for him, since he's not medically cleared right now. So I mean, it still all makes sense. But nonetheless, next week's episode of Dynamite is looking freaking amazing, and I can't wait for Wednesday to come around. This was an amazing episode of Dynamite. Can't say that enough. It was a great way to follow, to us anyways, what was a mediocre pay-per-view. And I'm excited. I just love watching Wednesday Night Dynamite. Can't say that enough.
Yeah, it was a really great show, and I'm expecting next week to be a really great show. And I thought this was a really great show, and I'm sure next week is going to be a really great show for us. And I'm just amazed at how good we are at Spanish. I didn't even realize it.
There's that episode where we were reviewing All Out 2019, and I was trying to say Escalera de la Muerte.
Right.
I couldn't spit it out. Been practicing.
Good job.
All right. Just to let everybody know, we are available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to maybe be included in the show, head over to Anchor and you can record yourself a message and send it to us. If you guys do that, I'll definitely put it in the show, good or bad. We might bury you if it's bad, but we'll put you over if it's good. So there is an option there to communicate with us. If that's not your thing, you can always catch us on Twitter at Impromptu Damien, at Impromptu Jeff. We are there and would love to engage in talks with our 40-some listeners that we have. I think we're doing pretty good since moving to audio only. Can't wait to further the podcast more, and we can't do it without your support, so we appreciate all of that. Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to check us out on all those podcast platforms. Peace out and go fuck yourself, Cornet.
Peace.